Okay, so imagine being the person nobody really notices at work, like completely invisible, but somehow everything still depends on you. I mean, if she disappears for even a day, the whole system at Ardent Systems starts quietly falling apart. But the strange part is, no one even realizes she's the one holding it together. Okay. And here's where it gets weird because something in that company is about to shift in a way nobody expects. Okay, so this is where it really starts to make sense. Like, you finally see what her life at Ardent Systems actually looked like day to day. She's not in the spotlight, not even close. She's down in this half lit basement corner, literally sitting on the floor sometimes, just sipping reheated gas station coffee, staring at a Jenkins pipeline that honestly should not even be working anymore. And yet it is, barely. Held together with like 5 years of caffeine, sarcasm, and these weird undocumented shell scripts she built in panic at 2 a.m. and then never had time to properly clean up. And here's the thing, the whole system only works because she never leaves it alone, like if she even steps away for too long. Something quietly starts to fall apart somewhere upstream. Right. But nobody really sees that. They just see dashboards that don't crash, deployments that somehow land on time, big announcements that look smooth and clean on the outside. And she's the reason for all of it, but she's not on any of it. Not on the brochures, not in the team win posts, not in the little Slack celebration messages. Nothing. She's just there, in the background, like a ghost in the machine, or maybe more like a function nobody remembers writing, but everyone depends on anyway. And she kind of knows it too, which is the weird part. Not in a dramatic way, just in this quiet acceptance that her work only matters when it breaks. Then suddenly everyone remembers her name, or at least remembers she exists enough to say, "Hey, ask her." She knows it. But most of the time, she's just invisible, and then Ree shows up, and everything shifts in this very uncomfortable way. So Ree walks in like he already belongs there, like the building was kind of waiting for him. His LinkedIn headshot energy in real life, that polished, ambition smells like eucalyptus vibe. First thing he does is pull the entire engineering team into this big atrium culture alignment session. And he talks for like 30 minutes straight about velocity, redundancy mapping, all these words that sound important but also kind of hollow when you're the one actually keeping the systems alive. And she's there, technically, but she's not really there because at that exact moment, she's in the server room rebooting a load balancer that no one else even remembers exists. Like literally nobody has that thing on their mental map except her. And nobody notices she's missing from the session. Not one person asks where she is. And when the session ends, everyone claps except her, not because she's making a statement or anything. She's just not there to clap. She's dealing with infrastructure that will absolutely fall over if she doesn't fix it right now. And Ree, he doesn't learn her name, doesn't even try. And that's important. He just looks at her or looks through her and starts calling her platform ops in meetings like she's a checkbox on a sprint board instead of a person who has basically been holding the entire deployment pipeline together with duct tape and instinct for years. And it's not even malicious at first. It's worse than that. It's just casual dismissal. Like she's part of the background systems, not the reason those systems actually work. 2 weeks in, she gets her first calendar invite, platform role review, visibility and efficiency, and she just sits there staring at it under buzzing fluorescent lights, not clicking accept, not declining, just letting it sit there like it's something she doesn't quite know how to respond to yet, because she already knows what it means. It's not a conversation. It's a preview of being evaluated by someone who doesn't understand what she does, but feels confident she should do less of it. And around her, everything keeps humming like normal, which is kind of the most unsettling part. Servers still running, alerts still quiet, dashboards still green. On paper, everything looks stable, but stability is literally her job. So of course it looks stable, and Ree keeps talking about legacy like it's a bad habit, something to clean up. Legacy is friction, he says in meetings. tapping his laptop like he just invented efficiency itself. And she's sitting there thinking, okay, but that friction is literally the only reason this entire system doesn't collapse at 2 a.m. on a random Tuesday. But she doesn't say it, she rarely does, because she's learned that explaining invisible work to people who only believe in visible outcomes never really goes anywhere. So instead, she just keeps doing it. Quietly, consistently, fixing things before anyone knows they were broken, while being labeled as something temporary, replaceable, or worse, just operational noise. And Ree keeps building this idea of a future where everything is clean, modular, scalable, all these words that sound amazing in boardrooms, but don't really account for the fact that none of it works without the messy, undocumented, slightly chaotic systems she's been maintaining for years. And the irony is, the more he talks about cleaning things up, the more he depends on the stuff she built in chaos, but he doesn't see that, or maybe he just doesn't want to. And that's where it sits for a while, her holding everything together in silence. Him slowly reorganizing the company like it's a puzzle he thinks was left unfinished, not realizing the picture only made sense because of all the hidden pieces he's trying to remove. And yeah, it's quiet at first, almost too quiet, like the kind of quiet you only notice right before something starts to break. So this is the point where everything starts to shift, but in a way that doesn't feel loud at first. It's not a dramatic moment, not a big announcement, just a quiet HR message that lands in her inbox like it belongs there, something like a function review across engineering. No rush, just a routine check-in. And she reads it once, then again, and honestly, nothing in the wording sounds dangerous on its own, but she's been here long enough to know that corporate language almost never says what it actually means. So she just sits with it for a second, staring at the screen under those same buzzing fluorescent lights. And something in her already understands this isn't routine. This is sorting. This is structure changing shape around her without telling her she's part of what's being moved. And that realization doesn't come all at once. It kind of settles in slowly, like a weight you don't notice until you try to stand up over the next few days. She starts noticing small things she used to ignore, fewer questions coming her way, fewer accidental mentions in meetings. People who used to just assume she was the answer now start asking where documentation lives instead. And that's the word that sticks with her, documentation, because it feels like suddenly everything she's ever done needs to be translated into something simpler, flatter, easier to pass around without her in the room, so she starts writing. And what she writes is not really new work. It's more like a stripping down of everything she already does. Responsibility lists, system ownership summaries, process descriptions written in the most neutral language she can manage. No tone, no personality, just clean corporate phrasing. She writes things like maintains deployment pipeline stability, oversees legacy system uptime, supports incident resolution workflows. And while she's typing it, she can feel how much of the real work disappears from those sentences. The panic fixes at 2 a.m., the quiet assumptions she makes before anyone even notices a failure, the way she keeps entire systems alive by remembering things no one bothered to write down, none of that fits in the document. And that's when it really starts to hit her, not in a dramatic way, just this slow, uncomfortable awareness that if everything she does can be reduced to a list like this, then someone else will eventually look at that list and think it's replaceable. Still, she finishes it. She cleans it up. She even removes the sarcasm she sometimes lets slip in internal notes, because she already knows no one is going to read between the lines the way she does. And then she sends it, and after that, things get quieter. Not peaceful quiet, more like waiting quiet. Like the system is still running, but something in the background is already queued. A few days later, the meeting invite comes. HR, Ree, and her. No long explanation. Just a title that feels heavier than it should, and she knows before she even opens it what it's going to be, so she accepts it anyway. Not because she agrees, just because there's no point pretending she doesn't see it coming anymore. When she walks into the room, it's already set up like a conclusion. HR on one side, careful posture, neutral expression, Ree on the other. Same calm confidence he always has, Like this is just another optimization step in a system he believes he fully understands. And she sits down, and for a moment, nobody speaks. Like they're all waiting for the script to load. Then it starts. They talk about evolution, about company direction, about agility and alignment, words that keep floating above the actual meaning, like they're trying not to touch it directly. And she just listens, not because she agrees, but because she's trying to see where in all of this her actual work disappeared. At some point, Ree says something about how her function has been critical for maintaining stability, but the company needs to move toward more scalable systems. And she almost laughs, not out loud, just internally, because that sentence is basically describing the exact thing she has been doing for years, just rewritten in a way that no longer requires her to be part of it. And then it happens. The phrase, redundancy, not framed harshly, not emotional, just presented like a logical conclusion. Her role is being made redundant. And there's this strange moment right after where everyone waits for a reaction that doesn't come. Because she doesn't argue. She doesn't try to defend the last 5 years of invisible infrastructure she's been holding together. She just sits there, looking at them. And it feels like something inside her goes very still, not broken, just still. And when she finally speaks, her voice is calm, almost detached. She says something like, document everything you touch, including what you assume you understand. And it lands in the room heavier than she expects, because it's not anger, it's just observation. HR shifts slightly. Ree gives a small, uncomfortable smile like he thinks it's a joke that didn't quite land, but she's not joking, not at all. A few minutes later, it's over. Severance, paperwork, access removal timelines, all explained in the same neutral tone as if they're discussing system updates, and she listens, nods when needed, signs what she needs to sign, no scenes, no collapse, just completion. When she walks out of the building, she carries a folder and a strange kind of silence that feels different from the silence she had before. Because this one isn't about being ignored anymore. It's about being deliberately removed from something she knows is still going to rely on her work long after she's gone. And she understands that very clearly, even if nobody else in that room does. So this is what happens after she's gone from Ardent Systems. And honestly, it doesn't explode right away. It's slower than that, almost polite at first, like the system is still pretending everything is normal, just missing a few pieces it hasn't admitted are gone yet. But people inside, they start feeling it immediately. First, it's Dan, QA lead, the guy who could smell a regression bug before it even showed up in logs. One day he's there, the next, his name just disappears from Slack. No announcement, no big moment, just a quiet profile removal like he was never fully part of the system to begin with. And people notice, but they don't say much. They just drop confused emojis into a thread that never gets a reply, and that's when things get weird because a week later, Carrie is gone. Senior dev, the one holding API throttling logic together with what everyone privately called pure chaos engineering and caffeine. No goodbye lunch, no farewell message, just an internal email about restructuring, agile alignment, cost optimization, all those soft words that don't feel like cutting until you realize they're cutting everyone who understands how things actually work. And then Victor, security consultant, older guy, paranoid in a way that usually turns out to be correct. The kind of person who doesn't trust anything unless he's broken it himself first. Gone during a vendor overlap review. Just like that, someone in HR probably called it streamlining. Maybe strategic sourcing of expertise or something equally empty, and people kind of laugh at the phrasing. But it's nervous laughter because now it's not just one person, it's a pattern, and the company starts calling it optimization. That's the word that shows up everywhere. Optimization cycles, agile restructuring, function alignment. Nobody says layoffs anymore. Not directly. It's all reframed like a system update. Like removing people is just removing latency. But the thing is, systems don't care about language. They care about dependencies. And Ardent starts breaking in ways that are subtle at first. CI pipelines start failing in staging, but not production. which is the kind of error that makes everyone argue for hours because it doesn't make sense on paper. Logs don't line up, rollback behavior gets inconsistent, dashboards still look green, but people are staying late anyway just in case. And that's when things get weird because failure you can fix. Uncertainty just sits there. Deployments start taking longer. Small bugs that used to be handled quietly now escalate into full incident calls. People are looping into meetings trying to figure out ownership of systems that suddenly don't have clear owners anymore, or maybe they always had owners, but those owners are just not there now. And every time something breaks, someone says the same thing: ask platform ops. Except platform ops isn't there anymore. And slowly that phrase stops being helpful and starts being hollow. Slack gets quieter in some channels, louder in others. Speculation threads start forming. Did we lose visibility? Is staging diverging from prod? Who approved this change? Questions pile up faster than answers, and internally, something else starts happening. Engineers begin quietly building shadow fixes, temporary patches, quick workarounds that nobody fully documents because nobody wants to be responsible for owning them long term. It's like everyone is collectively improvising on top of a system they don't fully trust anymore. And that's when things get weird, because the more they optimize, the more unstable things feel, like they're trimming branches without realizing the whole structure depends on those exact branches not being removed. Re keeps pushing forward though, still confident, still talking about modernization, but you can see it in small moments now. Longer pauses in meetings, questions that don't get immediate answers, slides being skipped faster than before, and somewhere in all of this, people start remembering her again. Not officially, not in any announcement, just in conversations that happen a little too late, like, oh, she used to handle that, or didn't she know how that part works? Or wait, who owned that pipeline logic again? And nobody likes where that thought leads, because the answer keeps circling back to the same absence because the system doesn't collapse yet. Not fully. It just starts to hesitate, like it is thinking too hard about things it used to do automatically. And for the first time, Ardent Systems doesn't feel stable. It just feels temporarily functional. And that difference, yeah, people start to feel it everywhere. Like even the quiet things start to feel off in ways no one can quite explain at first. Like logs taking just a little too long to resolve, or alerts that used to auto clear now lingering just a bit longer than they should. And every engineer has that same thought sitting in the back of their mind, but nobody says it out loud because saying it makes it real, and real means responsibility. And deep down, a few of them start to realize it wasn't just maintenance, it was coordination. And now that coordination is gone, and nobody knows how long the system can stay standing like this anymore without the person who used to hold it together. So this is where everything stops feeling like normal system drift and starts feeling intentional. Like she's not just watching things degrade anymore. She's watching something being rewritten in real time. And at first it's small, almost easy to miss. She's already outside the company at this point, technically gone. But she still has those quiet channels, those old instincts. So she checks in from time to time, not because she wants to be involved, more like you check the weather for a place you used to live, just to see what kind of storm is coming. And what she finds is not what she expects. There are contractors in the system now, new names, unfamiliar commit styles, pushing directly into main branches, no real structure, no hesitation, just raw changes, flowing straight into production pipelines like there's no such thing as consequence. And the first time she sees it, she actually stops for a second, because that alone would have been unthinkable before. Code audits used to be sacred there. Nothing went in without review. Nothing. And now, nothing is being reviewed. And that's when it starts to click that this isn't just carelessness. This is permission, or worse, ignorance disguised as confidence. She pulls up the logs again, slower this time, and starts tracing back deployment history. And something feels off immediately, not broken exactly, just rewritten. Commits that should have her fingerprints are gone or relabeled under generic system tags. Timestamps that don't align. Pipeline histories that look cleaner than they ever were in reality. And she recognizes that feeling before she even names it. It's erasure. Not just from the team, but from the system itself. like someone went through and decided her presence needed to be flattened out of history. And the strange part is how neat it is. Too neat, because she knows how messy those systems actually were. She built them in chaos, held them together in panic, patched them at 3 a.m. with half-written scripts and temporary logic that was never supposed to last this long. And now it's all been smoothed over like it was designed that way from the start. No trace of the duct tape, no trace of the emergency fixes, just a clean story that makes the current team look like they inherited something simple. And that's when she finds Re's updates, internal documentation changes, architecture diagrams being replaced, descriptions of systems she built now rewritten in passive language, like they emerged naturally instead of being built line by line over years of instability. He's not just removing her from the code base, he's rewriting the narrative around it. Legacy systems are described as outdated noise. Her modules are labeled temporary scaffolding that somehow just existed without intention, and she just sits there looking at it for a while, not reacting immediately, just absorbing the shape of it, because it's not anger yet, it's recognition. This is what being erased actually looks like when it's done carefully, not deletion, replacement. And the worst part is, it's working. From the outside, the system looks cleaner, more modern. Investors probably love it. Dashboards are still green, demos still run, slide decks still shine. But she knows what's underneath that shine because she built what's underneath it. And she can see the gaps forming now where her systems used to absorb failure quietly. She scrolls deeper and finds contractor commits touching core deployment logic. No understanding of timing dependencies, no awareness of rollback safety layers, just optimistic changes pushed straight into critical paths. And she realizes something simple but uncomfortable. They don't understand the system. Not really, they're operating inside it, but they don't know how it breathes. And that's dangerous in a way that doesn't show up immediately. It just accumulates. And then she sees a memo, Re's wording, clean and corporate, talking about function audits and strategic alignment. But between the lines, it's obvious. Anyone tied to legacy implementation is now considered risk to narrative consistency. And she actually exhales when she reads that. Slow. Because now it's not accidental anymore. It's policy. She's not being forgotten. She's being actively made incompatible with the version of the system they want to believe exists. And for a moment, she just leans back and stares at nothing, letting that settle. Because there's a difference between being replaced and being rewritten out of existence. And this feels like the second one. And here's the thing, she doesn't panic, not even close, if anything. Everything gets quieter in her head, more structured, like a system switching into diagnostic mode. Because she knows these systems better than anyone else alive in that company. She knows where the blind spots are, where the legacy dependencies still sit untouched, because no one is brave enough or informed enough to remove them. And she knows something else too. They didn't fully clean it. They just assumed it was clean. And that assumption is where everything becomes interesting. So she starts building, not loudly, not immediately, just thinking first, mapping, remembering every piece of infrastructure that still quietly depends on her original logic. Every outdated worker node they marked for deprecation but never actually shut down. Every shell script no one dares to open because nobody understands why it still works. And slowly, very slowly, an idea forms, not destruction, not chaos. Something quieter than that, something embedded, something that doesn't announce itself until it's already inside the system. She starts writing what she doesn't even name at first, just small pieces. Checks, pings, dormant routines that do nothing unless a very specific condition is met. And the condition is not system state, it's presence. She ties it to legacy structures they forgot to fully retire. She hides logic inside cleanup scripts that have been running since 2018 without question. And she realizes as she builds it that this is the first time in a long time she's not fixing something, she's waiting, and that feels different, heavier somehow. She names it later, almost casually, like she's naming a file she doesn't want to think too much about, daemon script or watch mouse. something small sounding, harmless. But inside, it is everything she knows about how fragile the system really is. Not because she wants to break it, but because she wants it to remember. Because right now, it's behaving like she was never part of it at all. And she knows that's not true. So she builds a way for the system to eventually disagree with that story. Quietly, patiently, and she doesn't rush it. She just lets it sit there, embedded in places no one is looking anymore. Waiting for the moment when someone finally pushes the system too far and forgets who taught it how to survive in the first place. So this is the day it all finally comes together, but not in the way anyone in that building is expecting. It's demo day at Ardent Systems, and from the outside, it looks clean, almost too clean. Glass building, polished boardroom, expensive chairs, investors already seated like they're here to be impressed, not questioned. Henry, of course, he's ready. He's got that calm confidence again, the kind that only works when you believe the system beneath you is fully under control. But here's the thing, it isn't, not anymore. And she knows it. She's not inside the building. She's across the street, same coffee shop as before, same corner seat, Americano in front of her, too hot to drink properly, but she doesn't move it. Laptop open, screen dimmed just slightly, and everything is quiet, almost suspiciously quiet, like the system is holding its breath without realizing it. 10:55 a.m. She checks the time once, then again, not nervous, just precise, like someone waiting for a clock to align with something already set in motion. Inside her terminal window, the cursor is blinking, waiting, not asking anything, just waiting for the one line that matters. And then she sees it, the message from inside, demo starting. And that's it. No hesitation, no drama, just a small shift in her posture, fingers on the keyboard, calm, almost too calm, and she types it. In it, Joy Richter, just like that. No confirmation, no warning, no rollback prompt. It just executes, clean, silent, like it had been waiting longer than she had. And for half a second, nothing happens, just silence. And then boom, inside the Ardent Systems boardroom, every single screen flickers at once, not staggered, not gradual, all at the same time, like a synchronized heartbeat skipping. First one monitor in the corner drops out, then another. Then the entire wall display behind Ree goes dark. Someone actually laughs nervously, thinking it's a glitch in the projector. Someone else reaches for their laptop like they can manually override it. But it's already too late, because then the system comes back. And this is where it gets weird. Every screen, every single one, login terminals, wall dashboards, laptops, even the secondary client display running the live demo feed, all of them show the same thing. A cartoon hamster running inside a wheel, looping over and over and over again. Bright, absurd, impossible to ignore. And underneath it, in clean, monospaced font that looks almost too intentional to be accidental, the text appears, function redundant true, no error code, no crash screen, no system failure banner, just that. And the hamster keeps running, always running, never moving forward. And for a second, nobody speaks, because the human brain doesn't immediately accept what it's seeing. There's this delay where everyone tries to classify it. Prank glitch visual corruption, but the longer it stays, the more that explanation collapses, because it doesn't flicker, it doesn't degrade, it persists. And that's when the first chair moves. Someone in the investor row actually stands up slowly, like they're trying to decide if they're in the right room. Another one leans forward, squinting at the screen like that's going to change what it is. Rhea is still speaking at first, or trying to. His hand is mid-gesture, frozen in that polished executive posture he always has. But his voice, it starts to lose rhythm. You can see it in his face first. That microsecond of confusion that he didn't prepare for, and then he stops. Because the hamster is still running, still looping, still labeled, function redundant true. And somewhere across the street, she takes a sip of her coffee. Not smiling, not reacting loudly, just watching. Because this isn't chaos to her, this is confirmation. Inside the building, Slack is exploding, phones are lighting up. Someone is already asking if this is a staged demo failure. Someone else is yelling about root access. Someone else is trying to unplug the main display. But the hamster just reappears on the backup feed instantly, like it never left. That's when panic starts to shift shape, because it's not a crash. It's not recoverable in the normal sense. It's presence, persistent presence. And Ree finally turns fully toward the screen wall, and you can see it hit him in real time. Not just confusion anymore, something deeper, recognition without understanding. Like he knows this isn't random, but he doesn't know why. Yet, he starts talking again, faster this time, calling for rollback, asking who deployed what, asking for system ownership like the answer is going to appear in the room. But nobody answers fast enough because nobody actually knows. And that's the problem. The system looks unified. It's not. It's layered and buried, and something inside it is waking up. One of the interns tries to open logs. The interface freezes mid-load and returns the hamster again. Another screen tries to switch input source. Same result. Hamster, wheel, loop, function redundant true, and now it's everywhere. Even the lobby screens, even the elevator displays, even the little status panels near the exit doors. It's like the building itself decided to repeat one sentence over and over until someone finally listens. And investors start doing what investors always do when certainty disappears. They leave. Not all at once, one by one. Quietly at first, then faster. A chair pushes back, a briefcase closes. No confrontation, no speeches, just exit. Because they don't need an explanation to know what this feels like. They've seen enough systems fail to recognize the beginning of collapse. And this isn't a glitch. This is exposure. Ree notices them leaving. That's the moment his posture changes. Not fully broken yet, but no longer controlled. He steps closer to the screen wall like proximity might fix it. Like being physically closer to the problem gives him authority over it. It doesn't. The hamster keeps running, and somewhere in the back of the room, someone whispers, "Is this live?" No one answers, because the answer doesn't matter anymore. And across the street, she watches all of it unfold like a system finally returning its own output. No rush, no escalation, just result. And here's the thing, it's not destruction in the way people expect. Nothing is exploding, nothing is burning, there's no dramatic shutdown. It's worse than that. It's disclosure. Every screen becomes the same truth. Looping, pointless motion, masked as progress. And Ree finally snaps fully into panic mode. Not loud at first, controlled panic. The kind where he's still trying to save face while the system underneath him is already gone. He starts issuing commands, asking for technical escalation, asking for people who used to exist in the system but don't anymore. And that's the irony. All the people who could have fixed this were removed, systematically, quietly, in the name of optimization. And now there's nothing left to optimize with. Just him and a hamster running forever. Function redundant true. Someone finally tries to kill power to the room displays. The screens go black for half a second. And then immediately reload. Hamster again. Same loop. Same message. And now even the room itself feels smaller, tighter, like the walls are listening. Ree turns toward the glass, maybe sensing something outside, maybe not. But he looks, and for a second, their eyes don't meet directly, but it feels like they do. Because she's there, just across the street, coffee still warm in her hands, watching, not smiling, not angry anymore. Just done. And inside, the hamster keeps running, and running, and running, until nobody in that room can pretend it means anything else. And after all of that, it doesn't really end in a big moment. It just unravels, leaked threads, internal logs, old systems getting pulled apart piece by piece, and suddenly everyone can see what was really holding everything together. Her work, finally exposed, but not in the way anyone expected. And then it's quiet, properly quiet. She doesn't look back, just walks away like none of it needs to follow her anymore. If you're still here, you might as well like and subscribe.